Had a chance to look at the model at home or on the campus?
Yeah.
Yes? So what do you think of the model that you got now? Did you had a chance to look at the drawings I gave you as well? See, it's important, I did put up as a design review. We got a couple of weeks to go. We planned it for 4 to 5 weeks. I want you to make sure that the model I gave you, you revise the model on an individual basis. But you can have a group discussion. More important is, with the drawings, we are flowing from architectural mistakes that you got, structural mistakes you got, systems that are incomplete, then look at the coordination. That's the final BIM. But the final BIM also includes your drawings. It's not just a model. I want you to create some views. Okay, the model. I want you to create some views. Okay. So what today, what you're going to do would be, we'll go back. The last session, we haven't captured much of the problems that we have seen in the drawing to a model. We'll highlight more of those, right? And we'll record them as a design change. What is the current problem? Then what do you propose to make changes? Okay. So first thing, I would like to see the video here. This is actually made by Devni Group, one of the biggest again in the BIM modeling type of environment. So listen to this. Can someone
What is BIM?
put the lights off?
BIM is a term used to describe a process used by architects, engineers, owners, and contractors to coordinate drawings between disciplines in a three-dimensional environment. It is important to understand that BIM describes the process, and specific software is the tool which enables the process. BIM allows a diversified team to collaborate at a level with an efficiency previously unavailable in the industry. Why did we implement BIM into our practice? As mentioned before, BIM has opened the lines of communication between disciplines in unprecedented ways. Previously, drawings were reviewed and coordinated in a two-dimensional environment based off of printed drawings. Information would then need to be layered and manually verified, whereas now, identifying conflicts between systems is almost instantaneous. By reviewing the designed systems in a virtual model, we can immediately propose alternative solutions to uncoordinated designs. This level of collaboration between team members ensures a high level of coordinated design drawings, thereby reducing the number of questions coming from the field during construction. How is BIM affecting us? BIM has allowed us to resolve issues on paper that would have been missed in the traditional design and review process. We've been able to measure these resolutions in both schedule savings as well as cost savings to the project. It has allowed us to partner with trade contractors during the design process to review and refine constructability issues and details which would formally result in questions from the field. BIM has allowed us to submit fabrication drawings in our design documents, removing the additional step of shop drawing review. It has the potential to shorten municipal review times, as we can instantly generate a three-dimensional image to better tell the story to the reviewer of how systems interact together. Finally, at the end of the project, we are able to turn over an as-built virtual model to the owner and facilities department, which identifies exactly how every system in the building was installed. This is a tremendous tool that can be used for everything from regular maintenance to upgrading and installing future systems. BIM is no longer the future of the design and construction industry. It has become the standard.
I'll stop the video here. So what do you think of this video?
It shows the importance of BIM and how it's really applied in today's construction environment.
Definitely. So you got these plans. I printed these plans for you. So want you to just get to the plans again. Yeah, this should be fine with a single view. So you got a structural drawing, you got an architectural drawing, then I'm opening through the files I gave you. That's your Revit model. It's basically a double-story house. So the client want to do a new development, which is clearly observable in architectural plans. So we've got to clear some land. Quite a big block. Sorry, it's not really a big block. It's around 700 square meters, but it's a challenge for making it to a 3 lots. So it's subdivided into 3 lots. So that's the existing block that you've got. You've got a backyard, courtyard, and what we're going to do is to develop, but we're only developing only one specific lot, which is a lot number 3. The rest of the lots are not part of the building that you got there, right? So the building is going to be placed in the lot 3 here, this particular lot number 3. And that's actually, we're starting at looking at the ground floor. So if I go back to the Revit model here, that's the building model that you got there, which was actually done earlier. So that's the model you got. Most of the elevations that you see it, you can see it through the views that you got in the project window. That's your elevations, but if you want to do it in the 3D, you can do it 3D as a right view like this, right? So what I want you to do is, yes, I have given you some plans, but there are mistakes in this particular model. We are going to make some reviews, changes, but in a more collaborative way, right? So apart from the architectural drawings, I also gave you the structural drawing. This is very important because architectural can be solved once your layouts and geometries are right. It's more of aesthetics. So, but I want you to concentrate more on the structural aspects, right? And especially when you're working with this model, I want you to associate in terms of the experience that you got, especially with the stage 1, that what we did with the drawings is very, very important, right? Because how you create the elevations, how you create those planes, annotating that one to a required standard. This is not all existed in the building model I gave you, but we have to verify that model. Okay. So let's start reviewing in a very simple form of putting that in a graphical model here. I've given you a week for you to go through that, but we'll talk about where we can make changes. Okay. So where do you think in architectural that we need to make changes in terms of the model I gave you? Where did you start in architectural? Do you think it's the stairway? There is any mistake? There is a stairway? Can you be a bit louder, please? Yeah.
And change the direction?
Change the direction of the stairway? Yeah, I think that's a good observation, right? So that can be part of this architectural, right? Because if you go into the enforcements, then I think it can be put into structural, right? So did you observe that if you look at the Revit, on that Revit here, so that's your architectural, right? So you can see stair here, right? In structural, you will not see the stair, right? So you got to identify which is part of which particular area and where you are making those changes. Is that good enough?
Yeah.
Yes. So can you? So this is with the architectural. So you're looking at the stairway, right? So we got to make some changes with the stairway. So that is basically the direction, right? So we might have put the direction in terms of where the stairway starts. So if you look at again architectural plans here, So you can see its stairway here is actually going up, right? So it's going up, so there might be a mistake in the model where the stair starts and where it leads to, right? And also you must have observed in the model that there is no wall built in below the stairway. There is only ramp, right? So that is important. That's a good observation. So where else you can think in the architectural, where are the mistakes, where are the reviews that you need to do? Abdul, can you remember?
I think there was no storeroom under the
Yes, that's I think that's what I was pointing to earlier as well. So that's with the storeroom. So there is a storeroom below the stairway, which is not designed properly. Okay. What else you think in the stairways? Write them down because I gave you a design changes form, so you'll be more explicit on those design changes forms, please. Okay. What do you think of your utilities, right? I think that can be part of the systems, right? Systems, part of the systems. We don't know where the utilities are. Okay, anything with gas, plumbing, and electrical. Yes? Cameron? Yes, did you observe that?
The electrical stuff.
The electrical, gas, plumbing stuff, because you can see that in the plan, right? In the plan, in the architectural plan again, you can't see that in the model here. Nowhere you see where is the electrical box, where is the water meter, but in the architectural one, if you go into the site plans, here, you'll be able to see it, right? You'll be able to see, for example, here, there is electric meter box, like that, right? Here, in the new development as well, you can see where it stops. So you got in meters here. So somewhere or the other, you can see that in the original 2D drawings, but not in the model. Not in the model. So we got to bring it back to the model, utilities. Right. So we got to know where is the exact position for those meter boxes. You will observe that, right? It's a very common observation that you do it. When you walk into any building, you're renting, whatever the property you're renting, have you seen the gas box, meter box?
Yeah.
Because that is very important now, to show it on the plans, to show it on the model, where they exist, right? Because they are also very important for you to know in terms of, if you're looking at electrical, what size cable you want to select, because your meter box might be too far from the consumer mains, right? So you need to know those lengths, right? Especially in this development that you got 3 developments, the third lot, which is deeper, is too far away from the main supply. So we might have to use a more thicker cable compared to what you use it for the first house. Are you getting it? Right? So then in terms of any structural, what is the key thing missing in the drawings, in the model, sorry? Right? Did you observe, if structural, there is lot of things that are missing in the structural. So good example is your lintel members, right? Your reinforcements. Where is the reinforcement? We don't have these reinforcements in the model, right? Do we have lintels? If you go into here, you can see this one, slab layout. This is not showing the lintels, it's a layout. So is that lintel members? So here, this is the lintels. What you see is L1, L2, L3, L4 is a typical type of steel that is used to take the loading of something which is above the window or above the door, right? Did you observe that in the model? Have you observed that in the model, please? No, so we got to take a notes, like that. That is what I want you to work. Okay? So in structural, there is no reinforcements. Okay? There's no reinforcements, there is no lintel members, right? And there are mistakes with the footings. If you look at the footings as well, so if you clearly look at the footings, you got to look at the footings as well. In the architectural, it's also with the layout, just the measurements. Can you look at the measurements, layouts? There are mistakes with the doors. There are mistakes with the windows. Okay. See, these are simple things to miss out, but you got to plan in the coordination here, in the coordination, you got to plan that one, right? But when you're doing coordination, there are a lot of people involved, right? And in our case, we'll assign some roles, typical roles, right? Who are the people who are commonly involved in a building project like this? Can you name some people?
Architect, engineer.
Architects, yeah. Architect, engineer, yeah. Can you keep going? Who else?
Client,
Come again?
client,
Yeah, the owner or client, yeah. He's a stakeholder basically. Yes. Who else? Who else will be part of that?
and once it is approved, the construction company.
Company, it's builders. It's builders. It's
Council.
Yes, very good, very good. That's very important because councils, they make regulations, right? We have to check in the model sometimes. We got to check if we got a full layout of the model. You're exactly right. We got to check, make sure we have the offsets right. If you don't have offsets right, you won't get a planning approval. You have to check the offsets and depending on the type of classification of the building you got to make sure that you have the enough layout, right? Occupancy rate, right? There's a minimum requirement. You have to leave some land for courtyard or a backyard or for carport and so on. So that you got to important with the council. Who else is there? So you got builder, you got suppliers, building suppliers, right? Without suppliers, without procurement, the job is not going to be done. You, in making these projects, you see in the architectural drawing, there are a couple of neighbors around. Why he has put in the building again? When you're doing your groundworks, earthworks, there is a risk involved, right? So your neighbors also might be important in doing that coordination because that might affect your construction as well. Your construction process could affect. Okay? So suppliers, fabricators, manufacturers, these are all people, in terms of, it can be internal coordination that can happen, and sometimes we got to take the model to external people as well to get a consensus of the particular building, how it is going to be built, how it is going to be constructed, how it is going to be used, right? So that leads to a final BIM. Final BIM will have a model, will have views, will have elevations. Okay, then it will also have your drawing plans for fabrication, construction and so on. Okay. So that's the whole scenario. So I told you about 4 to 5 weeks. That's what you're planning. Look at one by one. Go with one change every week. Make that change in the model. Move on to the next. Right? You can stop here. I think, yeah, you can stop. Thank you very much.
How do I stop it? It's live, it says.
Yeah, here. Sure, we want to stop streaming.